Success leads to success. Talk to the people that are producing beautiful dogs and winning dogs, not the people that are criticizing those dogs. Those are the people that you really can learn from. So if I go to someone and they only can tell me that the only good ones are the ones they produce, don't waste your time with those people. You're never going to learn anything from them.
Welcome to the Better Breeder Chronicles, brought to you by EasyWhelp Premium Whelping Boxes. Elevate your breeding program with EasyWhelp. In today's episode, we visit with Armando Angelbello of Marlex Miniature Pinschers. Located outside of Miami, Florida, Armando is one of the most beloved and respected people in the Min Pin breed and beyond. Highlights of his breeding program include winning Best of Breed at the MPCA National Specialty a record 15 times. Armando's dogs also hold many of the breed records. His awards include the AKC Toy Breeder of the Year, Kennel Review Dog News Breeder of the Year, Owner Handler of the Year, and Toy Dog of the Year. Those who know Armando best talk about his consistency in the dogs he produces while always being gracious and humble. As one individual shared, Armando is a true sportsman, a dogman, and a gentleman with integrity, honesty, and uncompromising standards, and a willingness to help a novice, competitor, judge, or experienced breeder alike. Join me now in welcoming the master of Marlex, Armando Angelbello. Armando, welcome to the show, and I'm excited for you to share the Marlex story with us today. Take us back to the beginning. How did you get started in purebred dogs?
Well, actually, I've always had dogs growing up. They were mostly mutts when I was raised in Cuba until we came to the United States. Then I started becoming interested in purebred dogs. And I actually first we had family toy poodles and so on and so forth. Later on, after I was married and I wanted a dog. So the first dog we had was a mutt. And then I started I've always loved the Doberman. My wife was afraid of big dogs because she had never had dogs. At the library, I happened to run across a book by Dr. Boschel on your miniature picture. And I thought, oh, that looks just like a Doberman. And let me research it. So I did some research, nothing to do with showing or anything like that. And long story short, we ended up getting our first Min Pin. It was a female that we call Kathy. And she was wonderful and feisty. And then I kept looking at the book from Dr. Boschel, and he talked about obedience and confirmation. And it happened to be that 2 blocks from our house, there was an old armory where they held classes for obedience and confirmation. Now, mind you, I didn't know what confirmation was. Obedience, I figured to show the dog tricks. So I signed up and I went with my Taffy. Long story short, the day that I went, it was not obedience. It was a confirmation class. I said, "Oh, I'm in the wrong place because I don't know anything about this stuff that you're doing, going around in circles." And they said, "Oh, just say." They were a super friendly group. And it happened to be that my Min Cafe was very showy versus what she made up for the lack of confirmation. However, at the end of the class, when they showed me the ropes and what to do, she was a trooper. They had a match. And in that match, she got a group 2. That's, and I, to this day, I say that was what hooked me to it. So went to shows, signed up for them, and immediately I noticed, although she showed well, that the other Minkins were of much better quality than she was. And even though she was pointed, and even once she won the breed, unquestionable judging, I would imagine, I finally said after a few weeks, this is not the quality that I would be interested in having. So I started my search for a mate. What happened was I contacted a lot of people, and even though everyone was nice, nobody would sell me a dog. And there was only one person who I admired through the books and stuff, but everybody told me to stay away from her because she was she was very famous and she would not give a newbie the time of day. Well, one day I said to myself, well, they're all saying that. However, none of them are coming up with a dog for me. So what do I have to lose? She lives where I live. I called her, and the rest is history. Her name is Ann Dutton of the very famous Sambrook Min Pins. I'm going back to the late 50s. And she bred over 300 champions, quality all over the place. And she couldn't have been nicer to me and more welcoming. And she always encouraged me to go after what were my goals. She would work with me as far as a true mentor, which is what she was. There are many people that call themselves mentors, but there are really very few true mentors. And the reason I say that is a mentor is supposed to impart knowledge, but at the same time, allowing you to understand the standard, understand the dogs, and have your vision of perfection. Because none of us think exactly alike. Otherwise, we wouldn't have shows. Whereas many of the mentors then and today, they're more like dictators. They, as long as you get a dog from them and they tell you when to breed it, who to breed it to, what to do, etc., then you're not really expanding the knowledge of the person to make a decision, to make mistakes. We all make mistakes. So she was unbelievable that way. And she stayed a mentor throughout my whole career. As a matter of fact, when I acquired, then I waited a year to get my first show dog, which I got from her. And his name is Champion Sambrook Silk Electric, Ricky for a short name. And not to bore you, but Ricky, at my fourth show ever, showing in confirmation, we went to the National, my wife and I, outside of Boston. And he was winner's dog and best of winners at that national. He then won the national specialty three times after that. So I had quite a beginning, and it was wonderful. He was my first show dog, and he was also a very famous stud dog because eventually he ended up siring 75 champions. From there, actually, then I was not in a hurry to breed. So after 2 years of showing him, I decided it's time to get a foundation base so that I can venture into breeding. And it turned out that the very best that I could get was happened to be his daughter, which at that point taught me that when you're starting out, try to get the very best you can, no matter who has it and where it comes from, as long as it's very typey and has a wonderful pedigree.
So, who had bred his daughter? Was that Anne or someone else?
Oh, it was from Han. It was a daughter of Ricky, and her name was Champion Sambro Swept Away. Shayna was her name, and she became not a big winner. She was a champion quickly. She became my foundation bitch, and she became a record of merit with 9 champions that she produced, quality champ. One of those champions that she produced was also my co-foundation bitch, the first Marlex bitch, and her name was champion Marlex Electromagnets, and Tracy, we call her. And she ended up also producing 10 champion quality get, and she's in the record of merit for the Minpin Club of America. At the same time, I was still showing Reiki sporadically. Had a family. I was working. I had a family. I was working, so I couldn't go to as many shows. But he was a clear, consistent winner whenever we went to shows. He was a Westminster best in breed, so on and so forth. Like I said, he's the number 2 min pin sire of all times with 75. In my first breeding, if I can back up for a second, that produced the first Marley, which was Marley's Electro Madness, her sire actually happened to be the number 1 min pin producer of all time. His name was champion Carly Nabi Silk,
Okay.
owned by Marsha Tucker and Pam Ruji, who were actually, interestingly enough, not necessarily close friends with my mentor. However, that was my decision to have my first breeding blend those 2 lines that were really line breeding, because I had basically the same dogs. And that's what started it all for me going forward from there. After that, I've had, I've been in this for 38 years. So, and actively showing more so after I retire later on, but I've had many specials that I have campaign and shown all over the United States. One of my proudest accomplishments has been that my dogs have won the national specialty 15 times. It's a record. And that's what I'm the proudest of, because that is really breeding stock. It's really stocked at the breed level. That's how I feel about it. Once you go beyond that, the rest is gravy. But the when you evaluate breeding stock, is at the breed level. Also, along the way, one of my homebreds that was brought a lot of pride in winning streak was champion Marlex Mercedes. She was a best in show winner, a national specialty winner herself. Mercedes was so special because at that point, I thought that I had achieved, I had the type, my vision of type before her. What I lacked in my program was that I wanted better movement. By better movement, I meant, as you know, the min pin has a required unique gait amongst all dogs, which is hackney like. It's not hackney, it's hackney like. High stepping with bend at the wrist. And I was lacking in that department. With the introduction of when Mercedes came along, she had it all. And that was the type that I really wanted to pursue working with and improve on. So she defined that for me. And the reason she had that is also because I introduced an outcross of a very well bred dog that excelled in that department. Later on, I had um, another dog that was not only a big winning dog, best in show and national specialty winner, but also a top producer of in the breed as well. He had like 47 champions that he sired, and his name is, he was black and rust, and his name is or was champion Marlex Mr. Chips. He was also quite an ambassador for the breed because he loved everybody, not only people, but other dogs. And you would call his name and he would run up and get on your lap, which is not typical of the Min Pin breed. Min Pin breed is more terrier like and more like I have to get to know you first. He was unique. So he was a special heart dog. And he actually then, one of his many champions, happened to be the one and only champion Marlex classic red glare that was actually bred by Caroline Rio, sired by my dog, Mr. Chips. She was an instant sensation when she hit the ring. At 6 months and 2 days, I will never forget, I didn't even know how good she
Okay.
was at the time. I knew she was good, but I didn't know she was so great. And she showed me and everyone, it was in a January circuit in Brooksville, Florida. Big entries, big name dogs. And at 6 months and 2 days, she won the breed, not with me handling her. I had winners bitch, whether I had my own special. And they were like pit specials. She then proceeded to win the breed over all the specials. I'll never forget. It was under Mr. Delaney, the judge, and she would not walk for the other person. But we made him go by himself and take a few steps. And once she took a few steps, he said, "That's it, you're best of breed." From there, the buzz started about this puppy because she then proceeded to win the group under Mr. Delaney at 6 months and 4 days, 2 days later, because she kept them winning the breed. And that is what made her in a long career and many she achieved 133 best in shows. He won 360 group first. She won the national specialty 4 years, 4 different times. She had it all. And she was actually not only the top winning Minpin of all time, she was the top winning toy dog of all time, a record that she held for 11 and a half
Wow.
years until just recently the Luke Eric's Shih Tzu broke her record. And records are meant to be broken, but she had it for 8 years. She herself, a lot of times, having thought about Mercedes before that never produced, at 4 years old, after her retirement, I bred her, and she was never going to overpopulate the Minpin world, but she did have 4 litters and a total of 7 puppies, and all 7 were champions, quality champions, including her daughter, champion classic. No, not champion, classic champion. Marlex classic finale, Fina is what we call her, who actually then was a multiple vestige show winner herself, and she won the national 2 times as well. So it's and Classy, by the way, is still at almost 17 years old. She's still ruling the house. She may be blind and deaf, but she knows how to get around and how to tell others to either back off or get out of our way. Next game, actually, um, another beautiful bitch. Her name was Grand Champion Marlex Sunsprite Rose. And she was co-bred by me with Marsha Tucker of Sunsprite, which I have embarked in a lot of co-breedings with great friends and at great results. never an issue because you have to know who you are partnering with. And she was also a multiple Best in Show winner. She was number one min pin for 2 years in a row. And she has produced greatly. She's still, well, she's not young, but she has produced greatly, including the latest special that I had through last year. His name is Grand Champion Marlex Rocksteady Rocky. And he actually turned out to be the youngest miniature painter ever to win a national specialty at 6 months and 17 days old in 2024. From there, he grew up a little bit and showed him last year for with great results, which includes a Best in Show winner as well. And now soon I'm going to give a try to actually his sister, a younger sister, full sister, and her name is Champion Marlex Rosa Linda. But he has actually trade that he could be a great sire because I also have Rocky breeding of three excellent girls who finished before they were 10 months old, all three with multiple root placements from the puppy class. So I'm very proud of that.
Fellow breeders, see what your breeding program has been missing with Easy Whelp modular whelping boxes. From the durable Easy Classic design to the spacious Easy Classic Tall, Easy Whelp sets a new standard for premium design and performance. Their innovative models were developed for simple setup and maximum safety, with features like the integrated safety rails to protect your next generation. The smooth, hygienic surface allows for quick wipe downs to maintain a sanitary environment. And the new window walled option, which I personally recommend, provides the next level of safety, confidence, and convenience. And for our Better Breeder audience, use coupon code BB15 to save 15% on your purchase. Elevate your breeding program today. Visit easywhelp.com. Armando, in your breeding program, how much does pedigree factor into your breeding decisions?
When I started, it was all about pedigrees, line reading and pedigrees. My mentor was very particular about that. Through experience, however, with my own vision, and even though I had her guidance, that, like I said, she mentored me to make my own decisions and follow my vision. I started venturing where if there was a dog that had the type that I wanted and was a well-bred dog, then I would go to that dog and give it a try and see what happens. And that's what really took me to improve my vision, improve my dogs. You're not gonna achieve perfection,
Yeah.
but you gotta keep going that way. So I do a combination of phenotype and genotype, but more leaning on phenotype
Okay.
these days. If you don't have type, then I don't care. Don't let the pedigree wag the dog's tail. So that's my approach, and it has worked greatly for me. I have also partnered with great people. Some of them had the dog that I wanted to reach out to, so we collaborate together. So it's been a wonderful ride.
How many dogs are you typically working with in your breeding program?
Not that many. When I say not that many compared to many people, from the very beginning, I had a limit to never have more than 10 dogs.
Okay.
And that was multifold, partly because I didn't want to have way too many, but also my wife, who is not a fan of the shows, however, she loves the dogs. She also has a limit because when I go off to the shows, guess who takes care of all of them? does a great job, and she has a great eye too. Her name is Xiomara Angelbello. Sio, we call her for short. And so that has been my limit. Now, once in a while, I'll go over a little bit, and because of puppies, but eventually, they're not going to all stay. So, one of the things I've always learned, and also from my mentor, is that it's not a quantity thing; it's quality, and you can have a successful breeding program with a few very typey quality dogs. The one thing that I do is I usually try not to keep males. And one of the reasons I don't do that, I usually clone them, so on and so forth, is so that I don't feel obligated to breed to them for convenience of them being at home.
Interesting take.
And so what I do is for before Rocky came along, and Rocky will be going with the co-owner, but I actually didn't have any males at home, and that is one of the things that I learned early of never to breed for convenience. If I had to breed for convenience, then you might as well skip it. You should always breed to the very best dog or bitch that complements um, the other one.
So, do you find in your breed that there are other good breeders who are keeping quality males for you to use?
What I do is I actually co-own some of my males that I do want to use with I share them with other breeders. So most of the time I end up breeding to my own dogs, but that don't live with me. I also go out and breed to other people's dogs, and that's how I got to where I'm at satisfied with a breeding program. There have been some wonderful dogs that have contributed to my success, and wonderful breeders also in min bins. I'm not one of those that thinks only my dogs are good. They're pretty good, but there are other breeders that I admire and work with as well.
Armando, when people look at successful breeding programs like your own, they of course see the success. What they don't get to see are the rest of the story, the challenges that we all have. What has been the biggest challenge you've had to overcome in your breeding program, and how did you overcome it?
Well, the biggest challenge that I've had was disappointments. We already talked about one of them with Mercedes not being able to produce, but there have been challenges of, especially these days, of distance. When you talk about wanting to breed to a particular dog, and although, like I've already stated, I don't breed for convenience. Sometimes it's almost near impossible, and I have not had the luck that most other people have had with fresh chilled semen or frozen semen, for that matter. So I'm a little leery of that, but I always find a way as far as to be able to go to a dog that that I I want to go to. The other thing that's very challenging, especially for my breed that is cropped and docked, is this animal rights induced narrative that it's cruel, and what has been done to many other breeds as well, that it's taught in veterinary schools and so on and so forth, is trying to find people that are not 3,000 miles away or 2,000 miles away that do a very good job with the with crappie, so on and so forth. So that has been quite a challenge, especially after we lost someone in my area who used to do them for us in Florida for almost 30 years. But luckily, I have found a wonderful person even more local. Other challenges in breeding has been we all have disappointments. Sometimes the best laid plans do not work out, and that doesn't mean you give up. So instead, you regroup. And just don't repeat the same mistake twice. Then it becomes a stupidity issue. But it's mostly been a very rewarding experience for me. I do believe a lot of this is not, rocket scientist stuff. Some people think try to make themselves like, they're scientists or something, but a lot of it has to be instinctual. I believe, like many other people, that I do have a gift for my breed, the Min Pin, which I love dearly. And to be able to uh, look at a dog, whether it's mine or somebody else's, and see how it fits in to my program. And it's been a blessing. I've had very few disappointments.
Armando, what breed traits do you find are the hardest to achieve and retain in min pins?
The Min Pin is definitely a square breed. In the standard, it's mentioned short couple, short back. So it's an outline breed. You must have a top line. You must have a high tail set. You must have a beautiful chiseled head. One of the things that you can heads are not necessarily easy to fix. So even though it's not a head breed like a Pekingese would be, you still have to look at them.
Mhm.
You have to love them. So heads that have that buggy eye look or short muscles, if you get into that, it's going to come back to haunt you. Also, top lines. Top lines are, I am a freak about top lines. If you don't have a top line, you don't have a min bin because it's an outline breed, a top line with a high tail set. A low crew is something that is also difficult to fix. And rears are also, I think, more difficult than fronts in my estimation. In my rear,
Armando, describe for our audience what a Marlex min pin looks like.
I like to say the Marlex min pin. I look for they have to have type first and foremost, and what I mean by type is that chiseled head where you have from the skull to the stop, equidistance from the stop to the end of the muscle. That makes it that beautiful, sleek head. Arched neck, blending into good shoulders, sometimes a little straighter to allow for that Hackney like gait, even though that is not mentioned in the standard. The standard mentions perfection, which none of us have achieved. Blending into a level or sloping top line and a high tail set. And of course, forward legs and great feet. Feet are feet are something that can be a challenge sometimes. I've had dogs with great feet, and dogs I've had dogs with what one of my favorite judges of all time used to call them, which was Janie Forsythe, used to call min pins with flat feet with dead baby hands. I've had a few of those, but the majority, I do have good feet, and for some reason, not for some reason, but it's obvious because it's not uh, typical, and it should be that to have that cat-like tight feet that many judges make observation when you have one with those that those great feet. So I have been able to develop what I would call my line, which is not necessarily better than everybody else's, but I am very proud of where most people that are in the know in min pins can pick up my dogs throughout the United States. And what better accomplishment and compliment to my efforts to hear that, whether it's from friends or from judges, it brings me a lot of satisfaction. And I also get ugly ones sometimes, but I don't show them. Nobody sees them.
We all do. My fellow breeders, I'm excited to announce the Better Breeders Certification Program. This program recognizes purebred dog breeders dedicated to the preservation and advancement of their breed. The Better Breeder Institute certifies purposeful conservation breeders who produce healthy, beautiful, and predictable puppies, and who raise the bar with their ethics and breeding practices. Conservation dog breeders have long struggled to differentiate themselves from the backyard, for-profit, and commercial breeders in the minds of the general public. This is the only breeder certification program developed to help purebred puppy shoppers identify better breeders. This program directly supports breed health research and promotes the breeding of dogs that fulfill their breed standard. This is the first breeder merit program that truly supports efforts to breed a better dog. Learn more at betterbreeder.org. So, Armando, with this incredible legacy of great dogs from generation to generation that you've already created, you mentioned having Rocky, his sister, several other bitches currently. Where are you looking to take Marlex from here?
Well, I am always looking for perfection, seeking perfection. I haven't had it yet, even though Classy is an exception. I think she's the greatest of all time in Memphis for a reason, even though she was not perfect. But I look to improve. One of the things that I'm working on now, for example, because it pays to be honest with not only people that are going to acquire your dogs, but also with breeders that may be using your dogs. So, well, one of the things that I'm working on is to have a balance of better rear angulation. When I say that is these days, some folks are have too much angulation. Less is more. I know it looks beautiful, that sweeping rear when they throw it back, but it's not a balanced dog. It should be well angulated, but not over angulated. So in being cautious of that, I have produced some that are less angulated than I would like. So I have to be mindful of that. It's very important to always have an eye on where your program is going, where you need to tweak, what you need to stay away from, what you need to bring in, and it's not necessarily a science, but it's you have to be non-emotional about your dogs when
Yep.
you're evaluating them. You can love them to death, like I loved my first Min Pin. She was the queen forever, but she was a terrible Min Pin confirmation wise. So I can make that distinction, even though some of them get to your heart
Yep.
more so than others.
So, Armando, switching gears a little bit, what ideas do you have for how we can do a better job of introducing new people to purebred dogs?
That is very important because I see it, especially in my breed. My breed has min pins have diminished greatly in popularity for shows. When I started, it used to take 10 to 14 bitches for a 3-point major. Today, you can't even get 4. Sometimes you have to have a filler to make a major. Or luckily now, If you're breeding good ones, if you place in the group, you can actually get a major that way, which used to not be the case. And as far as new people, we really have to be nurturing new people, welcoming them. I see so many times people, whether it's the public, etc., they're wanting to either touch your dog or see your dog. Make an effort, even if you can, because it's a breed that requires a lot of grooming. It's important to make them feel welcome and to say maybe not this moment, but if you stick around after I show, then you can. I can tell you more about it. You can pet it if it's a dog that can be pet. I mean, so some of them just don't want to deal with a stranger. So with Minbits, I do make the effort. And what is important also is with the new people, especially young people, because I believe we're lacking young people, is to go the extra mile to not necessarily tell them what they have to do, but guide them and welcome them and say you're there for them, and also praise them when they're doing right things. Like in our breed, miniature pinchers, we're lucky that even though our numbers have diminished greatly in competition, we have a few youngsters that are so talented, whether it's in handling a min pin, which is not, it's one of the most difficult breeds to handle, handling or breeding. I I'm always there for them, provided that they're serious. We do have, and you can tell right away who are serious and who are just looking for, is there a dog here that I can win with? Those people I don't want to be bothered with, whether they're young, old, or what have you. It's you're looking for people that have the potential for longevity and to protect your breed when you're gone, for those of us that are getting older, so on and so forth, not necessarily to carry on my legacy or what have you, but to be able to carry on with the breed, with their vision. And to attract them is welcoming them and facilitating ways in which they can, when they're talking about, let's say, looking for a good dog, sell them or give them a good one, not one that you wouldn't keep. That is a sure way to have somebody just for a short time, because they put in the time and effort, and then they go in the ring and they can't win, even though they may have natural abilities, because they don't have a good dog. That is, it's very important.
Armando, current breeders are facing several newer challenges. Things like there just being fewer of us breeders left, contracting gene pools, and in many cases, historic bloodlines disappearing. Do you have any ideas for how today's breeders can succeed in the face of these current realities?
It's a tough question, because we should be able to progress in a way that even if a well-known bloodline is lost, that there were still people with newer bloodlines that were just as good. In our case of the Minpin, because of the extra issue with the ear cropping and the tail docking, people don't want to be bothered with that. So it has diminished greatly. So eventually, I suspect if we don't do something, that the breed will suffer to a point of rare breeds, and that would be a horrible thing to happen. I happen to work. One of the things is, if you work if you work with people, if you work with people, whether it, the young ones and so on and so forth, to co-breed with them or co-own with them, that you're encouraging them to carry your lines and even then have their visions that they will make their own lines. So I'm not one that dwells on the past because I'm hoping that the future is actually going to be better than the past as far as quality as it was in 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 my case when I started. And I'm sure everybody wants to make their own mark, but at the same time, I am not delusional to think that the day that I'm gone, some person is going to carry on my line and it's going to be exactly the same. No, reality is those other people that will be very successful will carry on with their vision, which may be very much like mine, but with a tweak of their own.
Armando, here at the Better Breeder Institute, we firmly believe that for purebred dogs to survive as we know them today, breeders must start viewing their fellow breeders as partners and collaborators and stop looking at them as competitors and rivals. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that.
Some people give a lot of lip service how they do that, but they really don't. I do because of the fact that if you look at my dogs and my records, I collaborate with quite a few breeders in whether it's co-breeding or co-owning, and that is very important. And it's a give and take. It's not me as a dictator, but as I mentioned earlier, how I co-own most of my males that are worthy males with friends and people that are also breeders. So I do work with selective breeders. There are people that obviously I would not want to work with
Of course.
and just wouldn't do it. But in general, in the Minton breed, there are quite a few people that I have through it really takes a village. And because I have limited numbers that I said from the very beginning of what I will keep, it's wonderful to work with friends and people that you know and trust. And it's a give and take. It's not a take, because eventually that can't bite you. And it's very important to avoid the snakes in the breed.
It goes without saying, when you're looking to work with other breeders, you're looking to breed with other ethical, honest people. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're looking to collaborate with people that may have different ethics or integrity than your own. But, I know in our breed, for many years, there were several breeders, that simply they would not lease their bitches out. They would not co-own, and you understood it. They were, trying to protect what they had. But we're in a different world now, and we cannot play by the old rules and these breeds continue to thrive and survive. We do need to have a little different playbook and make sure we are all pulling in the same direction, working on the same team, if these breeds are going to be in their current form generations from now.
Oh, exactly. You have said it very eloquently what my true feelings are. But you also have to remember, not everyone has that same mentality. So you have to weed out the ones that are not honest, which they do exist. I couldn't agree with you more. And it has always worked for me. So I'm with you. I agree.
Are you preparing for your first litter? Or do you want to outfit your whelping room in style? If so, check out Whelping Bundles from Easy Whelp. The Easy Whelp Starter Pack includes a modular whelping box, heating combo, and reusable pad. Step up to the Essentials, Pro, or Elite bundles to add a variety of premium whelping necessities and accessories. Ensure your whelping operation is world class with Easy Whelp bundles. Visit easywhelp.com today. Armando, how has your vision or goals for your breeding program changed or evolved over the years?
They changed because they were at the very beginning, they were pedigree driven. And then I switched more to phenotype of well-bred dogs breedings. And that's produced better success.
What does success in your breeding program mean to you today compared to when you began?
Dogs that come very close to meeting the standard for the breed, knowing that I will never have perfection because that's what I'm pursuing. The day that I think I have it, then I'll just stop.
How can purebred breeders better market themselves to pet puppy buyers?
That's a difficult one. I am the worst salesman when it comes to the pet market. But it's very important honesty and to talk about the good, the bad, about the particular pin you're offering, and educate them about the breed, not just how they look, but how they act. And it's not necessarily every breed is not for everybody, especially min pins. It takes a certain type of ownership, of person, of personality, and lifestyle. It was very important that you do that, and you owe it to your dogs. To I'm responsible for having brought life into this world. I'll be responsible until forever, and they're always welcome back. No questions asked.
At this point in your breeding career, what do you view as the most significant challenge in the sport?
The most significant challenge is in the sport is actually having enough specialists in the breed from a judging perspective. I'm not one that believes that judges used to be better. There always had been judges that were good back 30 years ago and bad ones as they are today. Sometimes people just longevity doesn't make you a better judge. So I think what is has happened though is in a hurry to get more and more breeds and more groups and be able to get assignment because the problem is a financial issue that most clubs only want to hire judges that are multi-group. And whether it's the specialists or the ones that do a few breed, they never hardly ever get asked or they have to beg for assignments. It actually affects sometimes the quality of the dogs because it's more generic judging than specific to the finer points of a breed. There's nothing better than to have new there's nothing better than to have new dogs that you're bringing out and go to someone you consider a specialist and know that they're going to appreciate it. It's not because of any politics, it's because it's someone that you respect and they have a vision that of what the standard should be.
On the flip side, what has you optimistic about the future of purebred dogs?
The fact that we are more conscious that our numbers are diminishing. And it's not a matter of, I got to breed more, but it's breed better and try to enlist people. So maybe it's opening up people that know their breed is in danger of becoming, a rare breed or a small entry breed, m- become more welcoming. We, in the past, I think, it still happens today, but are kind of a little snobbish with people that were new. And I think one of the things that's important is that we've opened up people to be more conscious. I see it and I feel it.
Armando, from your journey Within your breeding program, what do you believe has been your secret to maintaining and improving the quality in your dogs?
The secret has been to take the emotional part out of it. It's very difficult to do because sometimes you think, oh, this is the daughter of so and so, and look at the pedigree, so on and so forth. Meanwhile, you know that it's not up to par for something that you should carry on in your breeding program. Sometimes those are very difficult decisions. And I think that I have mastered to a degree that ability to distance the emotional part of the uh, uh, of of that and focus on what my vision is it going to get me to the next step or what I may be looking for at that time to improve.
If there was one current day master breeder that you'd like to see featured on this show, who would it be and why?
A current master breeder, I'll tell you one, and that is Kay Pizer with her Chinese crested. I have competed with Kay in the groups for many years. Of course, I know she also breeds poodles and boxers, and God only knows what other creatures because she's always getting something different. But I have always admired because they're in the toy group her Chinese crested. There's something about uh, the temperament, the conformation, the way she presents them. And for many years, you would recognize a Kalen's, that's her kennel name, Chinese crested, wherever you go. I found a few when, and I will say something to her and say, well, you always find them. At the same time, she has a great eye for other dogs. All my Minipids love her when we're in the group together. But as a breeder, she's someone. I mean, there are many of them, but you asked me for only one, and her name is came up because I see her so often.
Is there a breeder you'd like to see featured on the Better Breeder Chronicles? Then go to betterbreeder.org/nominate to let us know. We are looking for master breeders, whether they are highly acclaimed or they work quietly in anonymity to move their breed forward. Better Breeder Chronicles puts those individuals on their rightful pedestal and shares their story with the purebred dog world. Nominate your most respected breeder today. Go to betterbreeder.org/nominate. Thinking back over your journey in min pins, what are you most proud of?
I am most proud that I have reached a level of satisfaction that I am producing what my vision of a correct min is using the blueprint of the standard. Don't change the standard to your beliefs. You have to breathe to the standard. And I believe that I have achieved that at a very high percentage level. Not perfection. There's no such thing, but I am very proud of that from a recognition perspective. Let's face it, we're all doing this not just ourselves, but also we're competing. Therefore, you're looking for recognition. Is the fact that I have my dogs have won the 15 national specialty wins. Those are that is I'll go an accomplishment that I'm very proud of. And of course, it goes without saying, Classy, who was such a record holder and is widely known throughout the world. In my estimation, of course, I owned her, but I didn't breed her. The greatest Minpin of all time. And her record reflects that as well.
To that aspiring breeder who's listening to the Marlex story today, if there was one thing you'd hope they'd take away from your story that could help them in their own journey, what would it be?
It would be educate yourself, especially for new people. Talk very little, listen to a lot, not only just one person, but success leads to success. So by saying that, what I mean is talk to the people that are producing beautiful dogs and winning dogs, not the people that are criticizing those dogs. Those are the people that you really can learn from. And I always say when I'm a student of all breeds, and many breeds intrigue me. So if I go to someone and they only can tell me that the only good ones are the ones they produce, don't waste your time with those people. You're never going to learn anything from them. That has been my approach.
And finally, after your breeding days are done, how do you want breed history to remember Marlex Miniature Pinschers?
History to remember me as a good breeder of miniature inches, without a doubt. Whether you prefer a slightly different style, but as a good conscientious and protector of the breed.
Armando, if breeders want to learn more about your dogs and your breeding program, do you have a website or where can they go?
Well, I had a website, and you can imagine after so many years, it became such a chore to keep it updated. So I actually don't have a website any longer. I did download it, so I do have all my pictures and all the wins, so on and so forth. So where I do most of my, whether it's bragging or accomplishments these days, is the Facebook. So I don't have a website currently.
Armando, this conversation has been terrific. Thank you for sharing the Marlex story with us today.
Well, thank you. You've made it very easy for me, and hope that comes through, because I was a little apprehensive about doing it at first. So you've been wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Armando. That's it for this chapter of the Better Breeder Chronicles. We hope you found the Marlex story with Armando Angelbello captivating, and that it will inspire you to pursue your highest goals in your breeding program. Make sure to click subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. At the Better Breeder Institute, we encourage all conservation dog breeders to embrace your fellow breeders as partners and collaborators rather than competitors and rivals. With the unprecedented challenges we all face today, successful breeding programs can no longer operate on an island. Our purebred dog breeder community must come together, with everyone pulling in the same direction. This is crucial if we're going to successfully preserve and advance our beloved breeds. I'm Matt Stelter, closing the book for today. Best wishes to you and your breeding program from all of us at the Better Breeder Institute. We'll see you in the next chapter. Take care.